Republican Congresswoman Cammack of the great state of Florida. So we knew that this would be happening rather quickly because it's a dire time right now in America. Congresswoman.
Absolutely, Harris, and greetings from very snowy and cold Washington, D.C. here on Capitol Hill. It may be freezing outside, but it is going to heat up this afternoon as we get ready to certify the election for President-elect Donald J. Trump. But yes, we are all on board with a one big, beautiful package for our reconciliation deal. We met over the weekend to work out some of the finer points of it and exactly what the top lines would look like. So as Speaker Johnson alluded to, he's going to have a very slim majority. We cannot let personality conflicts get in the way of the America First agenda. So we've got to be one team, one mission, and I feel very confident that we will be able to get this reconciliation package done more so than we would have if we had broken it up into two. So we're talking the tax package, which will lock in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act legislation, giving long-term certainty for individuals, families, and businesses. We're talking getting our energy independence back, securing our border, and for me, I know that me, along with others, we're working on regulatory reform, addressing that $2 trillion a year regulatory regime, the administrative state, and that's how we're going to drain the swamp. So it's a big package, a lot of work to do, but we're going to get it done.
All right, Representative, I'm going to ask you to stand by for just a second. We knew that this was coming. The Prime Minister of Canada, we are expecting to hear him say the words that he quits, he's resigning. Let's watch.
Has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning I advised the Governor-General that we need a new session of parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th. Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. Mes chers amis, comme vous savez, je suis un fighter. Dans mon fort intérieur, je me suis toujours battu parce que je me soucie profondément des Canadiens. Et je serai toujours motivé par ce qui est dans le meilleur intérêt des Canadiens.
Alrighty, again, I don't know that that was necessarily shocking news. It had to have been coming for the reasons that he was giving before he began giving those reasons in French. The internal workings of the government, what was going on inside his country, inside Canada, was not allowing him and the idea to remain in his position to be tenable. Remember, not long ago, he visited the President-elect Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump joked and called him the governor of the 51st state of America if he would like it. They needed to work on border issues, Trump said. So what happens next for Canada, and why does that matter? Well, we have hundreds of a line of a border right now that needs to be secured along our north. That's just plain and simple. The Liberal Party leader will likely exit, as he said, the moment that a new leader is chosen for his party. It could take some time, but there's some people on the short list I just want to mention. And this speaks to some of the problems that were going on. A former banker who is not a member of Parliament, Mark Carney, former Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who recently quit. So some of the wranglings that were going on inside of the office, and then the person who stepped in to replace her after she quit, Dominic LeBlanc, is also on the short list for people who could take over in the interim for Justin Trudeau. A major country just to our north along an important border to our nation has just resigned from his Liberal Party and expects to resign as Prime Minister the moment that they replace him in that party. We'll stay on this in case it makes more news, but for now, She was gracious enough to stay. I want to go back to the Congresswoman Cammack of the great state of Florida. I would be remiss if we didn't get your immediate response to that.
Well, down in the South, what we would say, Harris, is bless his heart. He has struggled. I don't know if you can hear me, but I just said, bless his heart. You know, as you said, this is no surprise to see Prime Minister Trudeau's resignation. This has been a long time coming. He has been championing Canada, America, much like here in America, America last. He's been Canada last in terms of policies, and Canadians are sick and tired of it. You mentioned the border situations that we have in Ottawa. We know of terrorist cells that have been discovered in Ottawa that have posed a national security threat to Americans. We have trade disputes, whether it is lumber disputes, potatoes. We have a number of commodities that we have struggled to actually work to negotiate a favorable trade deal. And so I think you're seeing a realignment happening in Canada, much like other places of the world, where the people of that nation are sick and tired of tyrannical rule. Look no further than what happened to those truckers when they spoke out against Canadian policies and their bank accounts were seized. This is truly a global realignment of putting the sovereign nation first. And I think we have President Donald Trump to thank for that, because as you mentioned, and what Prime Minister Trudeau failed to recognize, was he had gone to Mar-a-Lago. And I think he sat down across the table from President-elect Donald Trump and said, you know, I don't think I'm qualified to handle this. And I think that that's why we're seeing him exit stage left.
Interesting. All right. All of that in play, and it is part of our national security. It's critically important that the countries that border us have people that we can talk to. So let's see what happens next in Canada. We'll watch it. But meanwhile, let's talk about national security. I may be the only person saying this today, but when I woke up this morning and realized how close we are now that the 119th Congress has been seated, that the U.S. Senate can start to consider those nominees that President-elect Trump wants, it's a matter of national security that he starts to get his people in place quickly. So tell me about what it's like on the Hill today in terms of the talk about putting those people together. I know you have friends in the Senate.
Yes. You know, like I said, it may be cold outside, but it is hot inside. And on Capitol Hill, there is a buzz and there is an energy. And everyone who I have talked to feels very confident that Donald Trump's cabinet members will be seated quickly. We recognize the urgent situation that we have now been left with because of 4 years of America last and of weakness. And so I have great confidence that we will get Pete Hegseth as our DOD secretary. I think you will see Tulsi Gabbard. I think you will see RFK. I think you'll see Kristi Noem for DHS. I think you will see these folks. They will get seated immediately and confirmed, because we recognize collectively as Americans the dangerous, precarious situation that we have been left in. The world is on fire. We need strong leadership. We cannot delay. And if you look back to the first administration compared to how this one is operating now under Donald Trump, he is on the ball. His entire team, they are aggressive and they're getting in front of it now. There will be no time to waste, and senators are ready to get to work in the Republican Senate.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know that the moment is urgent right now. Thank you for being with me on the breaking news about our neighbor to the north. Congresswoman, thank you.
Appreciate you.